the ancient chanting method that locks knowledge forever. Some of the most powerful memory systems in human history were created by people who never went to school. No notebooks, no flashcards, no apps, just their voice. For thousands of years, monks memorized entire books, not pages, books. Thousands of lines of philosophy, medicine, poetry, and law. Perfect recall. Decades later. Meanwhile, you read a page today and forget it tomorrow. So what's going on? Are monks secretly geniuses? No. They discovered a neurological loophole that modern neuroscience only started understanding recently. A learning method so powerful that once something enters your brain through it, it's almost impossible to forget. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how it works, and you'll never study the same way again. But first, we need to destroy a myth, because everything you were taught about memorization is backwards. Chapter 1. The silent reading mistake. Most people study quietly. Library desk, head down. Eyes scanning text. You read. You reread. You highlight. You think you're learning? Wrong. You're barely encoding anything. Your brain is lazy. If information only enters through one sensory channel, your brain treats it as temporary, disposable, like background noise. Psychologists call this shallow encoding. The information touches the surface of memory, then disappears. That's why you can read an entire page and realize you remember nothing. Your brain never actually stored it. But ancient monks did something different. They never studied silently. They chanted, out loud, every word, every line, sometimes for hours. At first glance, it looks primitive, repetitive, pointless. But neuroscience now explains exactly why it works. When you chant information, 4 separate brain systems activate simultaneously. Your visual cortex reads the text. Your motor cortex controls speech. Your auditory cortex hears your own voice. Your rhythm circuits synchronize the pattern, instead of one weak signal. Your brain receives 4 signals at once. It's like copying a file to 4 hard drives. If one fails, the others survive. Neuroscientists call this multimodal encoding, and it dramatically increases retention. A 2010 study at the University of Waterloo discovered something strange. Students who read material out loud remembered 50% more than students who read silently. 50%, same intelligence, same material, different encoding pathway. But chanting adds something even more powerful, rhythm. And rhythm is where the real magic happens. But here's the problem though. Even if you read out loud, most people still forget everything. Because chanting alone isn't enough. Ancient traditions added a second layer, one modern students never use. And it's the reason monks could memorize texts thousands of lines long. Chapter 2. Rhythm rewires memory. Your brain loves patterns. It hates randomness. If information feels chaotic, your brain refuses to store it. Too expensive, too messy. But rhythm changes everything. When monks chant texts, they don't speak normally. They follow a strict cadence, a rhythm, almost like music. And rhythm does something incredible. It compresses information. Your brain stops memorizing individual words. It memorizes patterns. This is why you still remember songs from childhood, lyrics you haven't heard in 20 years. Why? Because music converts information into rhythm. And rhythm is easy for the brain. Psychologists call this chunking. Instead of remembering thousands of separate pieces, your brain groups them into structured patterns. Just like surgeons compress medical symptoms into illness scripts, monks compress entire teachings into rhythmic sequences. Think of it like zip filing data. Suddenly memory becomes effortless. This is exactly why ancient epics like the Iliad were transmitted orally for centuries. No books, no printing press, just chanting, perfectly preserved. But rhythm alone still isn't enough, because even if your brain stores something, it still fades unless you activate the third layer. The real secret. Hit subscribe before you forget. We fix memory leaks here. Chapter 3. The repetition illusion. Most people misunderstand repetition. They think repetition means reading something many times. Wrong. Passive repetition is useless. You can read the same paragraph 10 times and still forget it tomorrow. Because recognition is not memory. Your brain says, I've seen this before. That feels like learning, but it's an illusion. Researchers call this the illusion of competence. The same problem described in the book Make It Stick. Real learning happens when the brain retrieves information, not when it recognizes it. Ancient chanting traditions accidentally solved this problem, because chanting forces constant retrieval. Every line spoken is recalled from the previous one. Your brain must predict the next phrase, anticipate the pattern, correct mistakes instantly. It's like doing thousands of mini memory tests every minute, and retrieval is the strongest memory signal your brain can receive. Psychologist Robert Bjork calls this desirable difficulty. The struggle strengthens the memory. That's why monks often chant without looking at the text after a few repetitions. They test themselves constantly. If they forget a line, they restart. Immediate correction. No illusion of competence, only retrieval. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Because chanting does something modern students never consider. It turns memory into movement. Chapter 4. Memory becomes physical. Your brain doesn't just remember ideas. It remembers actions. Athletes know this. Muscle memory. You practice a movement enough times, and it becomes automatic. Monks discovered something similar with chanting. When you repeat knowledge through speech rhythm, your body begins to memorize it. Your breathing aligns with the text. Your voice anticipates the next phrase. Your brain predicts the rhythm. Suddenly, memory isn't just mental. It's physical. Your entire nervous system participates. Modern neuroscience calls this procedural memory integration, the same system used when learning to ride a bike. Once procedural memory forms, forgetting becomes extremely difficult. That's why people can recite prayers or songs decades later. Even if they haven't practiced in years, the body remembers. But ancient teachers didn't stop there, because they understood something else about memory. Emotion locks knowledge permanently. Chapter 5. Emotion seals the memory. Your brain prioritizes survival. If information feels emotionally important, your brain stores it permanently. If it feels boring, your brain deletes it. Monks understood this thousands of years ago. That's why chanting isn't flat. It's dramatic, intense, sometimes loud, sometimes whispered. Emotion floods the brain with neurochemicals: dopamine, norepinephrine, acetylcholine. These chemicals tell the brain, this matters, save this. This is the same reason you remember embarrassing moments perfectly. Emotion marks the memory, but monks used emotion intentionally, through tone, through rhythm, through collective chanting. And group chanting adds another layer. Social synchronization. Your brain loves belonging. When dozens of voices chant together, your brain experiences powerful neural alignment. Psychologists call this entrainment. Your brain waves literally synchronize with others, which strengthens encoding even more. Now imagine this system: multi-sensory input, rhythmic chunking, constant retrieval, procedural memory, emotional encoding, 5 memory systems, activated simultaneously. That's why chanting works. It overloads the forgetting system. But here's the problem though. Most people will hear this and still study the old way: silent reading, highlighting, passive review. And they'll wonder why they forget everything. Because knowledge wasn't designed to be silent. For thousands of years, humans learned through voice, through rhythm, through repetition, through movement. The brain evolved for sound, not silent textbooks. So if you want to remember something forever, try this: read it once, then chant it slowly, out loud. Add rhythm, repeat 3 times, then close the book and chant again from memory. You'll feel your brain working differently, because it is. You're activating the ancient memory system, one that civilizations used long before schools existed. But there's still one problem. Even if you encode knowledge perfectly, you can still lose it over time. Your brain slowly deletes unused information. Psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus proved this in 1885 with the forgetting curve. You lose half of what you learn within a day, unless something interrupts the deletion process. That's why I made the next video. It breaks down the memory algorithm elite learners use to stop forgetting completely: spaced repetition, active recall systems, and the exact timing that locks knowledge permanently. Because once you combine that system with the ancient chanting method you just learned, your brain becomes something very different. Not a leaky bucket, a vault. Watch that video next.